on the News Channel 5 network. This is MorningLine with Nick Barris.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us on Morning Line. I'm Nick Barris. Great show on tap for you on this Tuesday. We'll open up the phone lines. He comes on every month. He helps, and the administration has helped thousands of people over the years by joining us on this program and taking your phone calls, answering your questions, giving you advice, and walking you through what? Social Security, one of the largest bureaucracies in the U.S. government, serving literally millions of people, including many, many here in Tennessee, many of you who watch this show. If you have questions this morning about SSI, disability, okay, how much do I have for retirement? Should I take it early? Things like that. Now's the time to call, 737-7587. We'll do our best to answer whatever questions you may have. So the lines are open, but first, let's introduce our guest, Josh Horn from Social Security. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
It's really good to see you. Good to see you. Is there a larger bureaucracy in the federal government than Social Security Administration? I'm trying to think what it might be. I mean, you guys are bigger than the FBI. You're bigger than the CIA. Are you bigger than?
As far as
the IRS,
as far as the workforce, we've got to be one of the.
Think you're bigger than the IRS? You're up there.
We're pretty sizable. We've got field offices across the United States. It's funny, sometimes folks come in and they say, well, you're part of the state of Tennessee, right? Or I tell people what I do, where I work, and they say, well, that's part of the state, right? And I said, no, that's federal. We're across the United States. It's a federal program, and so we've got a workforce. Not only in all of our field offices, we have several teleservice centers that help answer our phone calls. And then, of course, we've got regional and central offices and payment centers that provide support in the back-end processing and things like that. So
it's huge. Well, and it's a great point you make when people call. Keep in mind, of course, it's federal, so the answers he gives you apply not only to here in Tennessee, but it will apply in any state in the union when it comes down to it, if you want to call on someone who's not local or whatever. So, we'll get to the phone calls in a moment, and it gets busy later in the show. So, hey, if you have questions, give us a call. But let's ask Josh if he has anything he wants to hit us on off the top. I haven't seen you in a month.
There's a couple of things. First of all, yesterday, our commissioner, Andrew Saul, actually posted an open letter to the public, and I thought I might mention of it. You've heard me talk about our new commissioner the last couple times I've been on. He's got a very focused on customer service and improving our service, and he posted an open letter yesterday to the public about some of the things that he's working on as far as how we are going to improve our service across the board, and some of the things that he's implementing. And you can go to our website, socialsecurity.gov, and there towards the bottom is it's down there. It says open letter from Commissioner Saul, and you can click on that link and read it for yourself. But it's just an interesting thing. I encourage any especially news hounds and folks that are out there that are interested in a little more information. Check that out.
What would you say, in his mind, and I have not read the letter yet, I will check it out actually, but what would he say are the priorities for improving service for folks?
Yeah, that's a good question. And so the couple of things that he lays out in that letter, one is the information technology, or IT modernization. We're still using programs that date back 50 years in some cases. Old DOS-based, for those of you who even have a clue what that is, green screen type programs that are very, very dated. In fact, it's actually kind of a challenge sometimes to find folks who still write in that coding. And so he's very focused on bringing the technology up to today's standards, and that just provides an incredible amount of efficiency for our agency to process things more timely and be able to work with the technology that the current technology out there. But the other one, and probably more important, is providing resources directly to the field services. I mentioned a minute ago that there's a lot of components, regional, central offices, things like that, where there's a lot of support roles, and it's just a matter of what he calls smart hiring or smart resourcing, as far as putting the hiring at the front lines and on the teleservice centers to make sure that when you call, you get somebody that actually answers the phone call, or you walk in, you don't have to wait 3 hours, but you walk in and you might have to wait a reasonable amount of time, but that you're going to get up to that front window and be able to be serviced.
I wanted to ask you this in terms of just getting something quickly, and we've talked about it before. Someone needs a new Social Security card.
Yeah.
I think my wife's on that list now.
Yeah.
It's somewhere. We have our cards at home in a file cabinet, and we're not exactly sure where. If she can't find hers, she knows her number, of course, but what's the best way to go about getting a new card?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple ways. Of course, the standard traditional ways to bring your driver's license by the Social Security office, and we can punch it into the computer and get you one sent out. It takes about a week to 10 days. But the latest thing, the newest thing here, I guess it's been around for 4 or 5 months now, is online. The online replacement cards, and that's just for a plain Jane replacement card. I lost mine. I can't find it, or things like that. We actually are connected to the DMV where they can verify that information. So you log into your My Social Security account, and about halfway down the page it says, apply for a replacement card, and you click on there, put in some basic information, and then here in a couple of weeks you're going to have a replacement card.
It'll be mailed to you. It still comes in paper and everything, so it looks the way they always have, right? I haven't ordered a new one in years, and I always thought that it's just the same thing now as it was 20, 30 years ago, the way it looks. Just a little flimsy paper. It's not laminated or anything like that.
It does have a little bit of security features
now, more
in it.
security.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so throughout the year they've added a little bit more, but it is paper based.
Yeah.
It's not like a driver's license card. It is paper based, but it does have, and it's, again, we encourage folks not to laminate it because it does have those security features in there.
Don't laminate it, and don't carry it in your wallet with everything else.
Yeah,
I
absolutely don't.
And some people do. They put it in there. You go, wait, no. Put it someplace secure at home, and you got your number usually in your head, or it's on some other document somewhere that you've got. All right, well, that's pretty good. And just so we can short circuit any of these calls that are sure to come, a reminder last time Josh was on about the cost of living increase.
Yeah, cost of living. We got 1.6 that'll take effect here at the end of next month. And so some of the changes with the 1.6% increase that you may be interested in for those who are drawing retirement but they're under their full retirement age. The earnings limit for those folks went up to $18,240, and so that's how much you can make without being penalized.
How much more did that come above?
No, so that was about $800, actually about $600 more.
Okay.
Again, it's all based on that 1.6% increase.
Okay.
Folks who are drawing, so the substantial gainful amount, which is the amount that we determine if you're working and drawing disability, whether you're entitled or not entitled, that went up to about $1,260. So if you're working or if you're disabled and you want to try going back to work, as long as it's under $1,260 a month, you're fine. And of course, when it goes over that, then we'll have to look at stopping your benefits under the provisions we talked about. The SSI benefit amount went up from $771 per month to $783 per month, so that went up a little bit. And that's for an individual. If you're a married couple, the combined amount went up from $1,157 to $1,175, so went up a little bit there too. And most things that along that, again, it's a 1.6% increase kind of across the board. And of course, whenever you whatever your monthly benefit amount is, if you're drawing Social Security, it's going to go up by 1.6%. The average amount is was $1,479. The average amount now is going to be about $1,503 as far as the average for retired individuals.
How much they'll get? Okay, yeah. So it's very modest. Okay, every dollar, I know, for those of you who get Social Security, counts, and so it's nice that there's an increase. But I know there's some people out there saying, "What? Only 1.6%?" I can tell you right now that some of the items I'm buying out there today are more than 1.6% more than they cost last year. I know there's a formula, and it's certainly not something that you're in charge of, but that's the way they figure it out. And I suppose you got to look at it this way: it's better than nothing, right?
Right.
Okay. Listen, before we take our first break, let's squeeze in one phone call. He jumped in right off the bat. It's Sammy. Good morning, Sammy. Are you there, Sammy?
Yes, I am.
All right, let's go for it, buddy. What you got?
Okay, when I turned 65, I received a paper from the administration for Part A and Part B, and that I said on there I could opt out of Part B. Well, I was in relatively good health, and I still am today, even though I'm 78. I only take one prescribed prescription for my feet.
Wow, good.
I called Social Security, my local office, and I was told a couple of 3 months ago to join it would cost me $260 to somewhere between $270 a month because of the 10% penalty clause. Well, in that paper that I received, it didn't give me any information about that. So anyway, do I have any recourse about this situation that I've got? I'd like to join Medicare. Even though I'm 78, I'm still in good health.
Oh, good question.
Yeah, and so just to kind of further explain for those of you who might be listening, in order to not be penalized for taking Part B later on, you have to have been covered under a group health plan based on current employment. And so if you're drawing some kind of benefits and you turn 65, a lot of times they'll automatically send out the card and enroll you in Part A and Part B. And if you are still working or covered under a group health plan based on your spouse's employment, that's kind of the two exceptions, then you can refuse the Part B, send it back, and then later on we'll get a form from that employer whenever you're ready to take Part B, and we can sign you up based on that form from the employer saying, yep, they were covered under a group health plan based on employment or spouse's employment, and so they don't have to be penalized, and then we can go ahead and enroll you. If you go ahead and refuse the Part B for any reason, but you aren't covered under a group health plan, then it is a 10% penalty for every year you don't take it. And so unfortunately, I mean, that sounds like what you're being hit with. There's really not much we can do about that, because those are Medicare rules that are laid out as far as when you have to take Part B or when you cannot take Part B and avoid those penalties.
All right, so I guess does that kind of help answer your situation? I think it's just something that was unavoidable, Sammy.
Yeah, well, of course, I was ignorant, but the law says there's no excuse for ignorance.
Yeah.
Oh, you're not alone. It's a complex thing.
However,
yeah.
Yeah, but however, at my the check that I draw for Social Security, if I join Medicare, then I would have to eat potted meat and crackers.
Yeah.
So if I have no recourse from this, it's my fault. I understand that. But it seems to me that who writes the rules for Medicare rules and regulations? I remember when the book was small as a small town phone book. Now it's almost as big as a metropolitan phone book. It's so confusing that the average Joe like myself didn't seem like to have a chance. So anyway, you've answered my question, and there's nothing I can do about it. Either join and suffer or hope for the best.
Well, you can talk to the state of Tennessee. They do have a couple of programs to help folks pay for Medicare, and so that you might could talk to the Department of Human Services. Again, sometimes they can help folks out that are in certain circumstances like that.
Yeah, I mean that would be worth looking into. Would that be SHIP or some of the others?
SHIP can help with that.
Okay,
they're kind of a good go-between trying to put all the pieces together.
Yeah. I'm not sure. In front of me, I don't have exactly how you would go about doing it, but Sammy, maybe go to the Department of Human Services within the state, okay, and just say, listen, I'm looking for some help in trying to get the financing to be able to cover this, so that I don't have to eat crackers and cheese and that's it. And I sympathize with where you're coming from, and maybe you can get some financial help. There is that out there for someone like him who, by the way, he sounds real sharp and healthy, and I wish him well. So I hope that works out for him. Listen, we'll take a break. When we come back, we've got Bob, Mike, Mary. If you're on hold, stay there. We'll try to get to your phone call, 737-7587. Any questions you might have about Social Security for Josh Horn right after this.